Got a new boot for my shifter. This one is all worn out here and it's kind of ugly. So I didn't see any version of removing this on an Acura TSX second generation. This is a 2009. This should apply to European Honda Accords as well. So, like other videos, first thing you do is remove the knob. There's also a nice hub that's a lot nicer than this new one. This one would just slide around the shaft. This screws off, and I'm hoping to replace, kind of take it off from the old boot and put it on the new one, and it should be pretty easy to do. This is a much higher quality than the secondhand, new boot. It was purchased on Amazon for about 14 bucks, and it looks pretty darn good. I saw a Honda Civic video from a woman who did this, and on that one it just pops right off. Well, believe me, that's not going to work here. The panel needs to be removed similar to the first generation TSX. It's tempting to think that this is a panel, unique panel right here, because there's a seam here. I started to try to pry here. It wasn't working well. So this is my first shot, and I basically open the cup holders, kind of grab them here. I'm going to yank up. I started doing this the other day, and I'm hoping this is going to work today. So there you go. It's starting. Now I need to work my way around. Carefully. This is a bit in the way. I'm going to try to... So far, so good. It's very scary when you don't know where to start. And again, this is the first time of doing this, and I'm pleased so far. Wow, it's just coming off. Just as I had hoped, and just as some other videos showed. Now, you got the controls for the seat heaters. And on this version of the TSX, there are two, as would be expected, but they're connected on the two on the opposite sides. The other one had a kind of had a connection on one side. Let's see how this comes off. I think I'm going to have to grab a tool to pry. Okay, I'm back. It was right in front of my eyes. There's a center tab here, and voila, it comes out very nicely then. So blue on the left, white on the right. Oh, nice. They put the tabs on the same side, so they're both accessible. And there you have it. And here's the original boot. It screws in here, and the boot is kind of stapled to the frame. I'll be right back when I have this out. All right, so it looks like 4 screws to remove the frame of the old boot. As it turns out, this where that seam was, that is a separate piece, but there's no way to remove that alone to get to inside here. So removing it as I did, I think is the way to do it. And it's as simple as that. So, putting on this new boot, obviously it's much bigger, so there's going to be some trimming involved. It is skewed, if you can kind of see here. It's skewed, it's kind of more straight here, and this was the front. So I'm going to keep that in mind when I adjust the new one. You can kind of see it's got an angle here. And again, it's got that higher quality hub, and I'm expecting that I can do something with a tie wrap. Perfect. So this diameter is a little smaller than this, but if I cut off this hub, which is also held in with a tie wrap, I'm just going to cut that off, trim the top end to fit around this higher quality hub that actually screwed onto the shaft. And man, should have a very nice replacement with a little style with the red stitching. I'll be back in a moment. All right, here's the old boot. This was kind of tucked in around that hub so you'd see it like that, but if I pull it out, the diameter continues to get a little smaller up here. And then the old boot has a smaller hole because of that different hub. This thing's much, much better. In any case, the older one had 2 seams up front and only a single in the back, but that doesn't matter. What matters, and what I think I'm going to have to work on here, is kind of this angle. So if I kind of line these up, and I line that up with the diameter on the new boot, you can see that this new boot, if I line the seams up, it's a 4-seam design. Hopefully you're seeing this okay. The new boot is wider, has a wider flare there, which means in the end, when it fits in the frame here that came out of there, I'm going to have to try to do something to, otherwise it's going to maybe pucker. So I'm going to work on that. And this frame, a bunch of staples were holding in the old boot, and as well as some adhesive here. So I think I'm going to use, I've got some 3M VHP industrial tape, and I might just put some strips there when I'm ready to put on the new boot. So give me a little time to do this. I'll be right back. All right, here's the problem. I started trimming, trying to match the old with the new, and the new is so much wider at this wide flare here that I'm going to take another shot. And the reason I'm going to try something is I noticed in the car this was compressed quite a bit in the normal position, and I don't mind if it's more taut, as long as the stick can shift. So the approach I'm going to take now is to take the frame and kind of just put it in and let it fit well, and take my chances that when it shortens up a bit, that it's going to work. So here goes. All right, it's not pretty, but what counts is how it looks when it's inside. So let's have a look. I am concerned that it's a bit short, and we're going to see when we get it back in the car. So I just got 4 screws to put on, and I'll see you out in the car. What's this? That's an armrest. That's my next stop, and I'll try to do a video on that. That part is coming to me very soon. So let's see how the boot turned out. Well, it looks pretty nice, doesn't it? And remember, I was worried about it being short. Well, it is, and I screwed up a little bit. Don't do that. I can tuck that back in, but when I'm in 6th, actually reverse, it's just a little too tight here, and it pulled that out. Yeah, I don't even think I can poke that in. I'm disappointed. Honestly, it's one of those things where I'll know it and no one else will, probably. But other than that, it looks great, and I should have just taken a little more time. And by leaving this longer, what it would mean is that there's going to be a little more pucker. There's a little bit here already, and either that or I'd get a different boot. But I hope this was helpful for you. This all just snaps back in beautifully. The switch is plugged in, no problem, and it goes right back in. So again, the key is to pop this thing up, yank on it real good at back here, work your way up front, and then better luck to you in doing this right the first time. Hope this has been helpful.